Welcome to this week's workshop on updating your eyes on the journey. Let's dive in. Alrighty, just a minute about who I am. I'm Manisha Mystery. I'm an instructor at MeasureU.com. So, as an instructor, first off, I became a measurement marketer in 2022. I work with our dedicated measurement management clients, helping them with their measurement strategy, helping them with their measurement implementation. I'm actively answering client and member questions and helping them dive into their measurement, helping them take action on their data. I love BigQuery, Analytics, Canvas, and Looker Studio. If you got one of those, let's dive in. Alrighty, as always with any one of our trainings, you want to remember one thing. The goal of watching any one of our videos is not to grab everything. It's to grab one thing, implement that, go try that, go ride the bike, and then circle back, give it a watch, and grab another one thing. Alrighty, let's start with updating your eyes on the journey. Alrighty, before we dive in, if you haven't watched our previous workshop on what Eyes on the Journey is and how to set it up and the strategy behind it, definitely recommend you stay tuned as I'm going to give you a little tidbit on how you can go watch that completely for free in Measure U. But I'm just going to cover it really quickly before we dive into how to level it up and how to update it to add more information to it. Okay, so this is Eyes on the Journey, this chart you're seeing here. Okay, and why is it valuable? So we have a page here. This is our Academy sales page, okay? Our Academy Insider sales page. It talks to you about the Academy. It tells you all the good stuff that's covered in the Academy and all the great tools and tips and resources you get. Okay. When we have traffic from Facebook, email, land on this page, we really wanted to know what was going on. We do have measurement happening of how many people see the page, how many people go from the page to the cart, how many people go from the cart to the purchase. But we really wanted to focus on how to improve this conversion rate. And that is where we're like, hey, let's use Eyes on the Journey. And Eyes on the Journey is all about measuring a single page. And that is this chart here. So it starts off with this first impression. It's all about how many people landed on the page, meaning, think about it as walking into a shop or not even walking in, but seeing a shop, okay? Like literally they're just like, oh, yeah, I'm going to see the shop. Like this is just them landing here. There's that initial like 1 second, okay? Then it's introduced. This is all the people that stayed for, as you can see right here, 10 seconds on the page. Think of this as you walk in the store and you just take that initial glance around, okay? Then there's interested. Now there's many different ways you can measure interested. Ours is 45 seconds on the page and a 50% scroll, meaning that if you stay for 45 seconds, you're reading, you're reading the stuff, you're thinking about it, you're really digesting it, and you make it to this 50% scroll. I'm just going to get there. Then we know, you're interested. Think of it as picking up that product of looking at that product in that store and going like, okay, investigated. What is investigated? So you're physically holding the product in your hand. Now, what do? You make it all the way to the bottom. And what do we all do? When you pick up that mug or something in the store, we look at the price, meaning you stared at these boxes for 5 seconds. You really thought about it. You really sat there and thought, hey, I'm investigating. That is investigated. And then initiated is clicking this button, either this one or this one. You can have one click, you can have two clicks, whichever one you want, depending on your journey. Now, everyone's eyes in the journey can be differently set up based on your page, based on your sales funnel. But it's measuring the journey on a single page, okay? And that is what Eyes in the Journey is. Now, I'm hopping a handy dandy Lucidcharts here. So basically, each one of these points, each one of these different points, impression, introduce, interested, is an event in GA4, okay? It's an event, okay? And right now, we're just firing an event into GA4 from GTM, okay? However, remember that with every event in GA4, you can include details, okay? So let's shut this over for a second and think about in real world life. I'm going to copy this. Let's just for a second think about a real world event. Let's think about going to the park. I go to the park a lot. Let's think about going to the park. What are some details tied to going to the park? Well, one of them is the weather. Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it rainy? Is it not rainy? Another one could be maybe the wind. Was it windy? Was it not windy? Another one could be the amount of people with you, right? These are different aspects of details that are tied to an event in our life, okay? Similarly, I'm going to move this over here and grab this, bring this on here. Let's talk about the event of IOJ impression. Now, What are some of the details we may want to include? Well, one of the ones that Julie and I talk about a lot when we're measuring I on the J is something like last blog viewed. So we want to know that, you know what, you're on this page, right, which is great, and we're really happy you're here, but we want to know what was the last blog that brought you here, you know? So we could include that detail right here. Unclick so I can take that. So last blog viewed. You could also include details like maybe previous page. Maybe you have, hold on, just need to spell. Okay. Maybe you have a sales funnel that is not as linear as ours, where you have maybe multiple sales pages or multiple, you could say, referral or like landing pages that you're sending people to. Maybe you have 1 and 2 and 3, but they all lead to one sales page, right? And you could have these all route into here, right? And maybe that's a detail you want your events to know, is which one of these 3 caused them to come here. And that could be a detail. So how do you add these details to your IOJ so that later on you can use these details in your dashboard? So let's dive into that in GTM. So here we are now in GTM. This is GTM for our teaching camp, okay? And you could see all I did was I came into tags and I searched for the letters IOJ, and we set this up already. And as mentioned earlier, this is all talked about in another workshop, which you will get access to if you join Measure U, which I'll talk about at the end of this workshop. Okay, so when you look at this event, you could see that we have this event firing, but there's nothing else firing, and there's no parameters. And the way you add details to any event in GA4 is adding parameters. Just like, I'm going to bring back our Lucid chart. Hold on. Bring back our Lucid chart. Here's our Lucid chart. Just like, the park, we had the weather and the wind and the number of people, and these were all the details tied. That should not have happened. These were all the details tied to us going to the park. We want our IOJ to have other details, like the last blog viewed, okay, which happens to be something that we're already collecting. So I'm going to shut this over. That's gone, and we got this. Okay, so we have the event name, IOJ, but we have no parameters. So if I was to right now go into preview, which I'm going to do, and then give this a hot minute to load, and we're going to click on connect. Okay, we are going to come into here and make sure we're connected. Just make sure you get your green, you get these all lit up. Sometimes, sometimes Tag Manager can, preview can just be like, hey, I can't connect. Don't worry about it. Just try to reconnect. Okay. The way we set up IOJ was it fires on our sales page. So we're going to actually go to our sales page and take a look. And what we're looking for our first event, which is IOJ impression. Okay, so we're coming into here. And we know that fires when somebody lands on the page. So we're going to come in here. We're going to click on container loaded, and we're going to look for it, and we see it's firing here. So right now, it is firing in GA4. But as you can see, the only thing firing is impression. And let's say we wanted to know what was the last blog that they viewed before they showed up here. Like, what did they read a blog that really convinced them to come to this site and consider our product? Okay, let's say we wanted that detail. Okay, so I'm going to close this off, and I'm actually going to come back into GTM. Now we already have this set up. We're not going to dive into how Julie and I set this up. So I'm actually coming here, and we'll look for something which is the last blog view, which happens to be this first cookie. Okay, we set up a cookie that basically anytime somebody visits a page. With a post type, which we happen to have, we basically cookie the last blog viewed. And then this cookie, last blog viewed, will have value in it. So let's go see if that cookie has a value. I'm going to take a look at that cookie. I am just looking in this cookie editor to see if I can find it, last blog viewed. So currently my last blog viewed is this one, right? So we want this value to be sent over when IOJ impression fires. How do we do that? Okay. So we're going to go back to our IOJ events, and you can literally have anything in event parameters. It's the world is your oyster. You're going to come into your tag, your what, you have your event name, you're going to come into event parameters, you're going to add a parameter. One thing you have to remember is you don't want to name this last blog viewed. No spaces, okay? You want to keep underscores, and you want to keep it simple, okay? So you're going to go last underscore blog underscore viewed, or you can do camel case, last blog viewed, or like us, we're just going to do LBV because that's what we like, okay? Then we're going to give it a value. Now the value has to come from a variable or something you enter hard coded, okay? So for the value, we're just going to do these 2 squirrely brackets, and we're going to pick the value of that cookie, meaning whatever the value of that cookie is, when this event is sent over to GA4 land, it's going to send the value of that cookie in this event parameter to GA4. So we're going to hit save. We're going to close out our preview, and we're going to go into preview again. And we are going to TBV this, trust but verify this, guys. So let's go and do this together. Alrighty, so we're coming into here. We are making sure we get our green check marks. We are making sure we head on over to our sales page. We are checking if we connected. I'm one of those eager beagers too. I just want to jump in and kind of click on things, and I have to remind myself to be like, okay, give Tag Manager a second. Come in here. Now we click on this. And sometimes it does that. If Tag Manager ever does this for you, I'm so happy this happened live, is I'm going to just click off to like the next one over and then come back to it and click on it. And it'll work. Okay. So now what's happening is you do get that event, but you get a detail. You get last blog viewed. And it's sent on over to GA4. So if I was to hop into GA4, which I'm going to do right now, on my other screen, I'm going to load up GA4. Give me 1 second here, and I'm going to pull that on the screen for you guys to show you guys. So here is a GA4. I'm going to bring it over. And I'm going to show you guys this. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down. This is in debug view. So I came into admin and came to data display, debug view. This was the first IOJ, okay? And as you can see, there are other details that are automatically sent over by GA4, like the page location and the refer and the page title. But if I come to the most recent IOJ impression, you will see that we're now sending over last blog viewed. So that's how we can add details. We can add information. And we don't have to just limit this to IOJ events. You could do this for any event you are firing into GA4. So you could do this for your scroll or your click or your page view. It's all possible by adding event parameters. So let's move this over. I'm going to move GA4 over. And we just need to update the other events because if you noticed, I'm going to come into here. Let me find the other one. This one doesn't have the same details. So how do we do that? We come back in here. We're going to hop in here. Now, be really careful in making sure you name everything the same. So, we can't do different naming conventions. We have to make sure we use the same name here. And then we can just do this and go last blog viewed. And we got this. Okay, so we're just going to do the other ones quickly, just kind of fly through these together. And using event parameters is a great way to add details to your IOJ. So that was interested. Now we got investigated. I'm going to go, there you go. And I'm going to add this. And we're just going to do the last one. Give this a second. Just coming into here, making sure I'm not making any spelling mistakes. We all know those are not good. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now if I was to close this off, and go back into preview, I will have the same details included with each event, and I can use that detail in my reporting for my client to be like, hey, here's all your blogs, and here's which blogs are causing, certain behaviors on the IOJ. Let it be, this blog is, having more people make it to investigated than the other blog, and maybe it's setting them up with the right expectations. So I'm going to come into here, I'm going to hop in here, and we're just going to let everything fire like for a hot minute. We're just going to kind of just give this some data. Okay, we just want some timers here. So now if I come into here, you will see, and see, it did that again. So happy that happened live. Set that up. There you go. And you have the detail. Right. And I'm not going to wait for all the other ones to fire. I can show you this one's the detail too. So that is how you add detail to your events. Okay. Now, what I do want to show you, I'm going to tell you how to get here and how you can join Measure U in a minute, but I really want to show you Measure U. Okay, so Measure U is our new community online. It's a combination of MeasureMarketing.io and Data Driven U. Now, if you join Measure U for free, you get access automatically to everything under this community heading. So these couple things here. You have to join the Academy to get access to the other pieces, which I'll tell you how you can look into. But completely for free, you can join Measure U's community. In the community, you'll get access to a student lounge, a training calendar, a resource toolbox, and a workshop library. In the workshop library, you have access to all the different workshops. I'm actually going to scroll through here really quickly to show you that there's tons of workshops you have access to. As you can see, it covers things like Facebook, things like Looker Studio, consent, good old consent, our good old BigQuery, Google Ads tags, and much more. Now, Julie Brade, our very own Julie Brade, has recorded how to set up Eyes in the Journey. If you have not set up Eyes in the Journey and you didn't know what we were talking about when we talked about Eyes in the Journey, this is a great workshop for you to watch and dive into. So you may want to give this a watch if you want to learn more about Eyes in the Journey by joining Measure U. Alrighty. So what was your one thing? Was it that you could add event parameters, details to your event so you can use those details in your report to level up your reporting? Or was it that there's something called Eyes in the Journey out there and you want to get into Measure U to watch that? Alrighty. So as always, when we are doing any sort of measurement, any sort of setup, we want to remember our measurement marketing framework that helps us go from marketing in the blind to marketing where we can reliably revenue and profit. When it comes to the Eyes in the Journey and setting up Eyes in the Journey, it's all about your KIA, your questions, informations, and actions. You want to make sure the information you're collecting is useful and you can take action on it, and then you would set up Eyes in the Journey in GTM in the build. Now, if you want to look at joining the Academy Insiders or just coming to the Measure U community, definitely recommend you go to the short link measureu.com/workshops. That will take you to a page where you can join Measure U and you can start watching the content, the workshops, and take a look at our resource toolbox. And then look into joining the Academy Insiders, where you get access to our live courses. You get access to a community of support where you can ask questions and get support from instructors like myself and Judy Baudet. So there you have it. That's updating your Eyes in the Journey.